Today we are going to replace the charging port on a Nintendo Switch. The first thing we do is disassemble the Switch and remove the motherboard. This is the replacement part we will be using, which is the charging port. Here we get the motherboard holder, which will support the motherboard while we work on the repair. You make sure to place the motherboard on the holder so that the charging port is facing outward. Now get your heat gun and place it at 380 degrees Celsius. Place the heat right over the port, making sure you hit all four corners. You have to keep it steady and consistent so that the solder melts on the outer 4 points surrounding the port. I tap the port to see if it's loose enough to come off, but it's not, so I continue to apply heat. Once the solder is warm enough, the port will become loose by a simple tap with my tweezers. As you can see here, the solder is melting. We only use the tweezers to gently tap the port, not to pull it away from the motherboard. If you do this, you can damage the traces on the motherboard. If done correctly, the port will fall right off. Now we turn the motherboard upside down and place it back onto the motherboard holder. We are going to use flux and place it on the 4 resting points where the port is installed over the traces. We place solder over the 4 points, followed by placing the soldering tip over the traces of the motherboard. We wipe the area with alcohol and a Q-tip to remove the flux and prep the area for the new port installation. Under the microscope, you're going to place the port and cover the lower pins with flux. Then you place solder on the same pins. This simplifies and accelerates the port installation. The port will attach to the motherboard quicker and will require less heat application. When applying the solder, make sure every pin stays separate from each other. It's important to work quick and steady in this step to prevent overheating the plastic on the port. Now back to the motherboard holder. We prep the new port installation by using heat-resistant tape on the backside of the port, like so. We use the heat-resistant tape to protect the port from being melted during the installation. There are plastic components in the interior of the port, therefore we need to prevent the plastic from melting. Now we're going to get ready for the new port installation. First, we're going to apply flux on the 4 installation points. Align the port to match the 4 points on the board. Essentially, you are heating and melting the solder on the points with your solder tip and inserting the front 2 legs by gently pressing in each installation point. This helps keep the port stable and steady when using our tweezers and heat gun. We apply heat underneath the port at 380 degrees Celsius, and we will repeat the above steps to attach the back part of the port to the board. Hold the port with your tweezers as you apply heat. As the solder melts, you will gently apply pressure to the rear of the port so that the rear legs and traces attach to the board. We are making progress here, but it's not ready. As you can see, it's still unstable, so we will continue to apply heat. Right here, you see that the rear section of the port is fully inserted into the motherboard. Hold it steady with the tweezers as you continue to apply heat. Remove your heat gun and keep your tweezers on the port to keep it steady. We wait until the solder solidifies. Once it does, you know the port replacement has been completed. After we remove the heat tape, we will work on reinforcing the traces located on the back of the port. First, we apply flux. Then we apply solder on each individual trace to reinforce the connection. Follow that with the swab and alcohol to clean the area. Now it's time to test our work and make sure we reestablish the charging capability of the console. We don't have to reassemble the entire console to check if it's charging. We only need to connect the screen, battery, and power button. I'm going to connect the backlight, followed by the LCD, and then the battery. The charger is connected, and let's see how this turns out. The battery icon shows it's charging, but I'll leave it charging to make sure it turns on. And here you see that it's powered on. If you look closely, you'll see the battery has 2% battery charge. So this completes our repair for today. If you want to learn on how to do this and other mobile electronic repairs, visit our website below for more information on our 5-day cell phone and micro soldering classes.